TV. My name is Sabrina Meyer, and we have our very own special guest, Anna Simakovsky, with Simakovsky Law. Welcome.
Thank you, Sabrina.
I'm excited to host this interview with you. Can you give us more information about yourself?
Sure. So, thank you for Dalmar TV, and thank you for the Somali community for constantly being so welcoming and for constantly believing in what we do and in trusting us in the community, not just in Central Ohio, but all over the United States. My name is Anna Simakovsky. I am an immigration attorney. I have been an immigration attorney now for 25 years. I am originally from the Soviet Union. I came as a refugee, as many Somalis have done. So I feel very connected to the refugee community, to the immigrant community, to the asylum seeker community, because that is the community that I was brought up in, and that is the community that has given me the education in a very real world way to then turn around and help the community. From what I understand, Sabrina, you came here when you were 7.
Yes.
And you were interviewing me. I came here to the United States when I was 5 years old. So you and I came at very similar times. And we have both been raised in a community of refugees and of immigrants that wants to be better, that wants to integrate, that wants to live in a community with our community and also to assimilate into the U.S. community and to really showcase who we are as immigrants and how powerful we are and how amazing we are. And we at Simakovsky Law have been a very integral part, I believe, in helping many Somalis come to the U.S., bring families to the U.S., bring children to the U.S., bring spouses to the U.S., apply for asylum, help people become citizens, and really help the Somali community through the journey of becoming part of the U.S. I think it's very important to understand that I, as an immigration attorney and our law firm, we deeply care about this community, and we have done many cases in this community that have been successful because of our understanding of the community and because of our passion and compassion in helping this community navigate a very complex immigration system.
Thank you so much for answering those questions, and one of it aligned with your refugee status. So how has your personal experience as a refugee shaped your value and direction of the law firm?
That's a very, very good question. So my parents decided to immigrate from the Soviet Union, and we came to the United States in 1976 through, most Somalis go through Kenya or Addis or Uganda. We went through Italy. So we went from Russia to Italy and from Italy to Louisville, Kentucky. When we came to the United States as refugees, as most refugees, we did not speak the language. We were allowed to bring one suitcase and $100. We knew nobody, so we were adopted by the community in Louisville, Kentucky. My parents were educated in Russia, but they had to start all over in the United States. My dad delivered pizza and painted. My mom cleaned medical equipment at a hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. We lived in Section 8 housing. We received food stamps, as refugees are allowed to do, for 3 months. And I think that really shapes a person's understanding of the system and to be brought up in that system and to understand the importance of education and to understand the importance of wanting things and not being able to afford things, and to understand the environment in a much more complex way, because you are living in your refugee surrounded by your refugee peers and parents and siblings, and then you have this American society that you're trying to assimilate into, right? And so you're constantly living in two worlds, with two cultures, with two languages. And so your perspective of the world is much more interesting, in my opinion, because you do have these two different cultures kind of coming together at all times, right? And so you see the world from two different perspectives versus one perspective. And you're constantly thinking about, well, on one hand, I would do things this way, but on the other hand, perhaps I would do things this way. So you're constantly balancing. And I feel like as a refugee, now an American citizen, with the ability to advocate, you advocate on a very personal level because that person that you're advocating for is you and is your family. And so when people say to me, many people in the Somali community say to me, why are you so passionate? Or why are you so angry? And I say, because when people do not listen to the advice of their counsel, it's very personal to me because I feel like you're hurting yourself, but you're hurting me because I am you and I can relate to you in a way that many others cannot. And so I feel like that is sort of my experience and how I'm able to put that experience into real life advocacy.
That was deep. That was definitely deep, and the way it's basically intercultural mix, like coming from a different culture and maintaining that while you maintain this culture. So how do you balance the need of the diverse clients that you maintain in your law firm and still keep a high standard of service?
That's a really good question. So when I moved to Columbus, Ohio in 2004, I was brought here to run a nonprofit organization and to set up an immigration program. And I felt that in the nonprofit setting, immigration services and advocacy didn't quite work because there's just so much that goes into immigration law. So when I went out on my own and started Simakovsky Law in 2007, I was very fortunate to open an office at Benadir Mall. Do you know Benadir Mall?
I go there often.
Did you get your beautiful outfit there?
I did not.
Well, you can say you did.
Okay.
So Benadir Mall, I started at Benadir Mall at 2007. And Benadir Mall and the Somali community truly made me a better lawyer because the Somali immigration issues are some of the most fascinating, complex, on a personal level and on a legal level. There's just so many, it's like an onion. You just peel away and you peel away and you peel away until the client trusts you to guide them in a certain direction that will get them positive results. And the Somali community is a very oral community. And so the things that we did and the successes that we had at Benadir kind of spread, and it spread pretty much all around the U.S. We now have clients all over the U.S. that are Somali and others. But I think with the Somali community, having come from a war-torn country, living in a refugee camp, having large families, the issues were very, very complex. And understanding, initially not understanding, and then as time went on and I started to do more cases, I understood the complexity and I understood how important it was to get the trust of the client. Because if you don't have the trust of the client, the whole thing fails. And so in the Somali community, I think that we are seen as pretty tough, pretty honest, and we will fight for you because we believe that the Somali community has been through so much that they deserve to be legalized in the U.S. Our reputation sometimes, especially my reputation, is that I am a little bit tough, and I'm, people say I'm mean. I'm not mean. I'm a good advocate. I want to get the results that you need. And as you are aware, being Somali, the Somali community wants everything yesterday. Everything has to be done yesterday. So if you come and you say, I need an appointment, I need it now. And the American system and American law firms don't always work that way. So we have now come to the point where our clients understand that if they make an appointment, they will get served, and there's much more kind of respect that this is the law firm I want to go to because this is the law firm that's going to help me, and I'm willing to work by their rules versus my own. And I think that has taken 20 years in Columbus, Ohio to get to that point. And I'm very proud of our law firm, and I'm very proud of our staff for maintaining sort of those ethical and cultural standards and being able to combine them into the American legal system. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. It answered multiple other questions. So thank you. And then my other question is, with the increasing complexity of the U.S. immigration law, how does your law firm stay up to date on the latest legal development?
So that is a really good question, because immigration law under the former administration and under this administration, it is very complex, and it's always changing. I get up very early and I read all the changes. We receive kind of a newsletter every day about all the changes happening. I have been also to the U.S.-Mexico border when the family separation program was happening, just to see and to advocate. I went to the Mexican border when the Ukrainians were crossing. I recently traveled to Ethiopia to see how, what it's like on the ground. I feel like I am as I get older, I'm much more in tune with the horrors going on in the world. There are wars all over the world. There's a horrific war right now going on in Gaza, Venezuela, Ukraine, Ethiopia. There are just so many tragedies happening all over the world, and I feel like the United States is a place of immigrants and is a place of refugees. So our job is to be up to date on the immigration laws and the changes, but our job is also to educate as to the fact that refugees bring positives. Immigrants bring positives. Asylum seekers do not come to the U.S. because they do not like where they're from. They come here because they cannot live where they are because of horrific persecution. And I think as immigration lawyers or as young advocates, young reporters, it's our job to get out there and to say, I'm a refugee, I'm an immigrant, I was granted asylum, and look at what I'm doing, right? Look at all the positives that I contribute. Look at all the good that I bring to the space that I go into, right? I'm not doing anything bad. We are not criminals. We are not interested in eating pets. We are not interested in committing crimes. We are interested in becoming educated. We are interested in opening businesses. We are interested in supporting the economy. We are interested in raising our families. We are interested in our children going to college. We are interested in giving back to American society. And I feel like as refugees, that is the message we need to put out right now, because that message sometimes gets lost by all of the negative stuff out there.
you're definitely right, and we appreciate all the service you do for the immigrants. And you're right, we are here in America because America welcomed us, and change is inevitable. People forget that change will happen no matter what, and it's beneficial. It is beneficial. It brings two worlds, multiple worlds together, and makes it one. So it is beneficial, and we need to speak up and inform everyone that we are here, and we are here for good. We are here to help one another. We are here to bring light into life. And that was amazing. Okay, and my other question is actually regarding the Welcome Corps. Can you give us more information about that?
Of course. So the refugee program welcomes a certain amount of refugees every year. And that amount changed under the Trump administration. That amount really became less. And the refugee program is run through nonprofit organizations called VOLAGs that the State Department gives money, and the refugee organizations have a certain amount of families and people that they can resettle. And that amount is very limited, right? Nonprofits are very limited in what they can do and the services that they can provide. So Welcome Corps Group 5 allowed private sponsors to take the place of a refugee agency and for 5 people to act as a refugee agency and to sponsor up to as many people as you can fundraise for. So the Welcome Corps program opened up about a year ago. It's brought people to Columbus, it's brought people all over the US, and it's a private sponsorship program. So the government and private and nonprofits are not involved in any way. So you are responsible for picking up your family at the airport. You are responsible for getting them housing. You are responsible for putting furniture in the apartment. You are responsible for taking the kids to school. So it allows families to take on the responsibility of resettling their own families. And many in the Somali community have done this process. This process did not go quite as smoothly as it was supposed to. A lot of people sponsored, and a lot of people, the expectation was that people would arrive very quickly, but because there's so many applications and because the government still has to vet both the person sponsoring and the person being sponsored, there's now a backlog in that process as well, which is very frustrating for people because they want their relatives here. I would say that if you've completed the Welcome Corps application and you've received the email that your application's been completed, there's nothing that can be done that can make that process go faster. So you just have to patiently wait. Whereas in other immigration processes, if you file, let's say, an I-130 for your spouse and it takes too long, there is a process called a mandamus by which you can threaten to sue the government and then sue the government for a decision to be made if it's taking too long. And many Somali applications are stuck in what's called admin processing, and we can threaten to sue the government to make a decision on those applications if they have been pending for too long. So in the Welcome Corps process, you just have to patiently wait, whereas in the immigrant processing, you don't. And what I would also like to add is in the Somali community, as in all immigrant communities, and we're speaking to the Somali community today, I think it's just really important to understand the role of an immigration attorney. So I always say to people, if you want to go buy a beautiful dress, you're going to go to a store. If you want to fix the tire on your car, you're going to go to a mechanic. If you want to do anything with immigration, you should not be going to a notary or a community member. You should be going to someone that has an expertise in that subject matter, which is an attorney. We have a lot of good immigration attorneys in Columbus, And in the Somali community, most of the cases that I get have been ruined by a notary or have been ruined by someone that wants to help but doesn't help correctly. So my advice to the Somali community is please hire an attorney. Spend the extra money and just hire an attorney who is responsible and who has ethical obligations to do things correctly for you.
Definitely. Hire an attorney. And what role do you think the immigration lawyer will play in the success of the Welcome Corps?
In the Welcome Corps, we were just able to guide people through that process. We were able to help people organize their 5 people. We were able to help people take the class. We were able to do people's background checks. We were able to put together the Welcome Corps plan. And I think the most important thing that we play as attorneys, our role, is to guide people's expectations. So what I hear from a lot of Somalis is, well, my friend told me that this process would take 2 weeks. And I say, no, that's not correct. This process may take 5 years. So making those expectations realistic, I think helps people mentally. Because if you expect your relative to arrive tomorrow, most Somalis buy the nice house or the nice apartment and they furnish it. And then the person's not coming for 3 years. So now it's like, now what do I do with all of this? So I think managing expectations, whether it be with Welcome Corps or whether it be with the I-130 process or whether it be with citizenship, managing expectations as to this is what the process is. This is the positive. This is the negative. This is your role. This is my role. And just making people understand that I'm your advocate. I want to help you. I want to see your success. But let's do it in a way that is realistic.
Thank you. You've had extensive involvement with the immigration communities in Central Columbus. How has this engagement shaped the services of your law firm?
I think it's a give and take. I think that the community has shaped us because it gives us real life feedback on the ground in the countries that people are coming from Mexico when people are coming through the border seeking asylum. And it's when you deal with real people, with real situations, with real issues, and then you bring the American justice system into it, which is not always just. The American asylum system is not just. It has put so many barriers into place for people getting asylum into the U.S. or people crossing the border. There's so much rhetoric in the community about come the right way. Well, the right way doesn't exist, right? So if your child is being threatened or your child is being killed or your child is being raped, you're going to do everything in your power to get that child out of that situation. And there is no right way. So coming through Mexico and applying for asylum is the right and legal way. And we in the United States need to make sure that those systems and those laws are protected so that people can navigate it in a real way. This community has taught me so much about the struggle and about the realness of wanting to be here for a better life, for safety. Many of the clients that we represent bring us so many real examples and so much joy when they are successful. When I go out into the community to go grocery shopping or I go to a doctor's appointment, I don't know the last time I went anywhere where I did not run into a client. And you see them with their spouse and now they have 3 kids and you remember how much they miss their spouse and how much they wanted their spouse to be here. And you see this whole family that's doing amazing. And you see pictures on Facebook of these kids graduating from college and going to grad school. And you see your doctor, who might be one of your clients. And so it's like, oh my God, what an amazing community we live in, that we can see, we can start people at the beginning by meeting them at the airport or meeting them at the bus station. And then 10 years later, you see their success, and you just have so much pride and so much joy in the ability to be a very, very small part of that, but to still be a part of that. And we take great pride and great joy in that.
Definitely. You've been very impactful to our community, to all communities. You've actually impacted my household. You helped my mom and I bring my dad to America, which when I saw you, I was happy to be interviewing you today because you have impacted many lives, and it's beneficial. And some are not most beneficial. So my other question is, what are the challenges you've encountered or in this unique community, in all communities?
And again, we serve clients in all communities, but the Somali community, I always say, is sort of my spirit people. The Somali community is very passionate and loves to yell, and that yelling isn't mean. That yelling is just passion, and it's just a way to get the point across. And so they yell, and I yell, and then we hug, right? Like, and then we've met, like we understand each other. We understand each other's passion about the subjects that we are presenting. The challenges of this community are that Somalia has been at war since 1991. And when you have people coming from generations of war and generations of trauma, it's a very difficult place to meet a client, because you're asking someone for information and you think that information is really simple. Like, what's your mother's name, right? That's a very simple question. But in the client's mind, is it my biological mother? Is it the woman that raised me that I called mother? Or is it the woman that brought me to the United States? So here's a really simple question from a legal perspective. But from a personal perspective, you've now brought all this trauma that you're making this person relive, because their mother died, their aunt raised them, and they came with a different woman because they were separated from their aunt. So it's a very challenging place, and you have to balance constantly about thinking about that person's trauma, or thinking about the trauma of the whole community, to not get angry and to be patient and to bring sort of like, I get it, like, I've done this, I've worked with your community, I understand. Now, have I been in war? No. Have I lived in a refugee camp? No. But that secondary trauma of working with people that have, I feel, gives us so much insight into being able to have patience, have compassion, but still be able to navigate people into the answer that will get them the result, right? So being able to kind of meet people halfway. And again, with the Somali community being such an oral community, people understand that my questions aren't meant to be invasive or intrusive. They're meant to just get me the answer so I can get you your result. And I think that the community has taught us to do that. And we are very fortunate now. We now have 4 lawyers in our office, and we have 16 support staff, and everyone is kind, and everyone is committed to the mission of giving our clients what they need. And so I think that that's very important when you're interviewing a lawyer, to make sure it's a good fit, to make sure that the person that you're hiring to do the most important thing, which is bring your family here, or bring yourself here, or become a citizen, that person gets you and is vested in you, That is so, so important. And we are so grateful to this community for allowing us to continue our work and for allowing us to be trusted and for allowing us to hopefully bring in a new female president, Ms. Kamala Harris, so that we can have consistent laws and positive laws that will continue to better our community and to better the United States, because immigrants and refugees, that's all they do. They just better. They do not do anything that is not in the interests of the United States, because the interests of the United States are our interests. We live here. We want to live here. We want to give back to this country.
Definitely. This is our home, and we want to grow it. We want to better it, improve it. And it's time to heal. It's time for our people to heal and be home. And thank you so much if you are interested in a lawyer. And Anna and Simakovsky. It was difficult to learn your last name, Simakovsky law firm. If you're interested, definitely. And then do you have any more comments?
I just want to thank Dalmar TV. I want to thank Shafi. I want to thank you. It's lovely to meet a client that is now a journalist and is here from Somalia, and that will continue to contribute and make Columbus, Ohio, and make the United States a better place. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. My name is Sabrine with Dalmar TV. I am an American. I am a refugee. This is my home, and we are here to grow and make America great again. Thank you and have a good day.
Mahasanit.
Assalamu alaikum.